Everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Now we are doing the second part of the same question and topic, that is the nature of sociology. We have already covered why sociology is considered as science, because it follows certain methods and also follows systematic methodology to analyze the data, to organize the data, to understand and observe the data. Now we are looking at why sociology should not be considered or cannot be considered as science, or is not fall under the category of science. And we have a great amount of argument behind this particular thought process. So let's just start. While sociology is often argued to be a science due to its empirical method and systematic approach, there are several reasons and critique that challenges these views. Critics argue. Who are the critics? Critics are the people who criticize, right? Who tend to look at things from a non-acceptable manner. So sociology critics believes that the sociology lacks the precision, predictability and objectivity in characteristics of the natural sciences. So how in the natural sciences and life sciences you have it precise, there is something which is called precise thing. There is predictability and there is objectivity. For example, let me take the example of the medical world. So in medical, whenever people are studying the human body, the organs are mostly going to be the same and located on the same place. But it's the rarest of the and even in thousands of the people, it's gonna be a rarest of the rarest case that the one person has completely different direction and situation place for some particular organ. But that's not the case with sociology. In fact, it's the other way around. Why? Because our society is very different and people are at different positions. If I draw the analogy with an organ, but and more often that's the case, that people are very different, and it is rarest of the rarest chance that it's going to be the same across a particular group, across particular community. Hence the precision, the power to be precise is very difficult. Then predictability is also very difficult, and I've discussed it earlier as well. Though the sociologists have power to predict, but it's not as much as in the natural sciences. And objectivity. What is objectivity? Is seeing the world from an objective perspective and not believing that you're also part of it and have to have the feelings and emotions that you as a human being hold being part of the society. So that objectivity is very difficult to achieve in sociology, and that is why these three characteristics, which are very common in the natural sciences, are very difficult to find in the sociology. These critiques are rooted in fundamental differences between the nature of the social world and the natural world, and they challenge the applicability of scientific methodology to study the society. That is also true. All the methodology that one use in the scientific analysis, scientific study, they cannot be used in sociology, and that's very difficult. And here is the broader explanation of that. The first point is the lack of predictability. Like I've already told you, and time and again I'm going to tell you that the key hallmark of any natural sciences is their ability to predict the outcome with a high degree of accuracy. But that's not the case. In contrast, the human behavior, social phenomena are often unpredictable and influenced by numerous, often uncontrollable variables. So there is this example I can give you. For example, let's just say the institution of, there's no institution for as such, but let's just say the phenomena of crime. It's very unpredictable. The nature of the crime, why criminal commits the crime, changes. There are certain people who will not look at crime as something destructive to the society, and there are some people who will look at crime from the perspective that it is done by all the people who are uneducated. So that precision and that accuracy is not very likely to be achievable in the sociology, and hence it lacks the predictability power. Now second is human free will. Unlike natural phenomena that follows fixed laws, human have agency and make decisions that are not always rational and predictable. I think that's an example of the same. So we'll look at these two: the complexity of social interaction and human will. So the natural, unlike the natural phenomena, the nature that is somehow fixed. It follows the fixed laws. The human agencies make decisions that are not always rational and predictable. This makes difficult to develop universal applicability of the laws of human behavior. Suppose I can say that in certain district of India, you can predict about this institution of marriage, but that's not going to be applicable for the rest of the India, because it's in India itself is a world, right? It's a unity in diversity, and hence we lack the power of predictability. There is always a complexity in terms of social interaction, and hence social phenomena are often shaped by numerous factors such as cultural, historical, psychological, economic, political, which interact in unpredictable way. This complexity makes it difficult for sociologists to make general prediction that holds true across the societies and time period. And hence this complexity, which is shaping our thought processes, which is shaping our society, makes it very complex to come with the a universal prediction. Like, for example, Emile Durkheim's work on suicide attempt to identify social factors that influence suicide rate. The conclusion do not necessarily apply universally across the societies and historical context. The human behavior is highly contextual, unlike the natural phenomena that tend to follow the universal laws. Subjectivity and value-laden research. Another critique that sociology as a study of human society is deeply influenced by the values, biasness, and perspective of the researchers themselves. Unlike natural scientists who study inherent inert or objective phenomena like rock, atoms, and chemicals, sociologists studies human subject. They themselves are part of the society, both the researchers and the subject, that are influenced by culture, social, and political factors. And hence, there is going to be a value led in research. Sociologists' own background, ideologies, experiences can influence their choice of the research topic. For example, coming from a women community, I might go and feel inclined towards studying a phenomena that are related to women, and that shows my gender bias, because and that also stopping me and holding me back from being objective person, from being reaching to the level of objectivity. So hence it is very difficult for us to keep our biasness, our backgrounds, our ideology keep aside while studying any phenomena. Our interpretations of the data and their conclusion are going to be influenced by that particular thing. And for example, a sociologist with a Marxist orientation, and Marxist orientation is always talking about the people from the bottom, and hating the people who are at the top. And so the person who always believe in the rights of the labor class may interrupt economic inequality differently than the one who subscribe to the functionalism. And functionalism is an ideology which adhere to that everything has their own function and importance for the society. Everything, be it is a negative thing or dysfunctional thing, or it is a thing that is of importance. Both of them will be looked at from an important perspective, from functional perspective. Now, imperative nature of the social data. Much of the sociology relies on qualitative data such as interview, ethnographies, case studies, which requires interpretation. And interpretation involves a level of subjectivity, as different researchers might derive different meaning from the same data. And hence, to draw a universal line is very difficult in sociology. Max Weber, here they have given the example of Max Weber acknowledged the problem when he introduced the concept of Verstehen and in sociology, which is understanding. Every person has their own Verstehen and understanding about a social phenomena. Max Weber argues that sociologists should interpret human behavior by understanding the subjective meaning that individuals attach to their action. So whenever we are, explaining a phenomena, we need to go beyond and beneath the surface and understand that why this person is saying what he's saying or what is she saying. And then only we can, come up with the holistic idea about what a person mean when they say something. And that's why However, this subjectivity contrasts with the goals of the objectivity in, that is there in the natural sciences, and that is very true. Third is inability to conduct control experiment. Control experiment are cornerstones of the, like in the earlier video I've also mentioned that experimentation method and experiment as a method to study the social phenomena, but it's the rarest of the rarest chance. It is more of likely to be the case that the control experiment is very difficult to be done in an impossible, next to impossible to conduct in sociology. The natural science rely on isolating the variables, manipulating them in controlled environment, and observing the outcome. This is far more difficult in sociology for several reasons. Ethical constraint. Many social phenomena cannot be ethically manipulated. That's very true. For example, sociologists cannot experimentally manipulate social class, poverty, and racial segregation to observe this effect. You cannot create it. You have to, these phenomena are given in the society, they become a situation as such, and then sociologist has to study them. As a result, sociologist studies often rely on observational data, which limits the control over the variable and introduce confounding factors. So these are the ethical constraints we also deal with while we are conducting the experimentation method. There is also complexity of social phenomena. In the social world, variables are deeply intertwined. It is difficult to isolate one factor without affecting the other. So for example, there is political institution, economic institution, but the policy makers are the one who are making the taxes, norms, and the laws in the country. And then economic institutions are the one which are coming from, educational institutions. So we are the one producing people who gonna work for the economic sector. So there is a certain kind of economics that we are studying, and that is why these are dependent, and politics is dependent on that. Political leaders also make laws for the education sector, and hence the interdependency in the sociology is like very, very evident, and they all are affecting each other, which is making the complexity of nature even higher. So there is an example: studying the impact of education on income must account for the range of other variables such as family background, race, geography, economic conditions, etc. and etc. Now, fourth is the lack of universal laws. Natural sciences are known for discovering universal laws, Newton laws of motion, laws of thermodynamics. In contrast, sociology struggle to identify laws of human behavior that apply across the societies and time period. Why? Because cultural relativity. Human behavior is highly context dependent. What is true for one society may not be true for other society. For example, coming in the patriarchal society, one and patrilineal and patrilocal society, one has to go to the groom's house, a girl has to go to the groom's house. But in the matrilineal society, a person in the patrilineal society, sorry, I said patriarchal, no, patrilineal society, and in the matrilineal society, it's the guy who has to go to the women's house. So that's actually going to be changed with the time and the context. Example, the norms regarding gender roles. So they are also varied across the culture, and hence it is difficult to formulate the universal laws of social behavior in the same way like we do in the natural sciences. Historical specificity. Many sociologist theories are tied to specific historical context. For example, Marx's theory of class struggle was developed in the context of 19th century industrial capitalism, which may not be universally applies to all the society and all the ages and eras. Human reflexivity. Human beings are reflexive, meaning they are capable of reflecting on their actions and altering their behavior in response to the knowledge about social norms, rules, studies about them. So, for example, you tend to behave differently when you get to know that this person holds certain ranks, and you behave differently when you get to know that this person is below your rank. So that is there. So human reflexivity is one of the very complex dynamics that we need to deal with as a sociology. This reflexivity undermines the predictability of human behavior, and as individuals or group may act in unexpected way when they became aware of the social finding. So whenever they're trying to find out the data or the collection of all the things that we need to have to make the sociological theories or predicting about any sociological law, then it is very difficult for have those reflexive aside and go beyond and beneath those reflexive, that what actual the person is stating or saying. Now the sixth is interpreting versus positivist approach. Now, the positivist approach comes from our founding father of sociology, that's Auguste Comte, and he says that if you use the methods of natural sciences in the, in studying the social world and social phenomena, that approach in itself is called as the positivist approach. But there is a versus, and it is versus with the interpretation. Let's see what's there in the point. There is an ongoing debate between sociology about whether the field of study should be aimed to be the science in the same way as the natural science, but some thought of schools and school of thought, particularly those influenced by the interpretative or constructive traditions, argue that sociology should focus on understanding the meaning that individuals and group gives to their actions rather than seeking to uncover objective laws of the society, because that's how we gonna study that holistically and full in a broader and holistic manner. And hence, that is very important. In interpretivism, this approach, associated with the thinkers like Max Weber and George Herbert Mead, emphasized the subjective nature of human experience and argued that sociology should focus on understanding how people interpret and give meaning to the social world. And they are, particularly George Herbert Mead, coming from America, he gave a lot of emphasis on the micro level sociology, and that's how we understood that there beneath these bigger structure, there is a micro level structure also, which plays a very important role, and we cannot undermine or ignore these things. Critique of positivism. The idea that sociology can be studied using the same scientific method, I already told you, as the natural sciences, has been criticized by ignoring the subjective and culturally specific nature of social reality. Critics argue that the human societies cannot be reduced to the objective, measurable phenomena in the same way that the natural world can be studied. Interpretativist suggests that the sociology's focus should be on understanding and interpreting social life, and not discovering a universal law and objective truth as told by the earlier sociologist. Unreliability of the social data. Now, there is the data that whatever sociologists and social scientists are collecting from the society is less reliable than the natural sciences. In sociology, self-reporting. Much of the data is gathered through the surveys, interview, and self-reported measures. Human beings may not always provide accurate information, whether due to memory lapse, social desirability biases, and deliberated deceptions. Changing social reality. Social phenomena are constantly changing. Attitude, behaviors, norms can shift rapidly in response to the cultural, political, and technological changes. This fluidity makes it difficult for sociologists to establish enduring truths and reliable data over a longer period of time. And that is what? The constant changing nature of the society, and that's like evergreen phenomena, and it's going to be forever phenomena. And that's constantly changing. One day you might be this person who believes that institution of marriage is such a good thing, and then after 5 years you come down to a point where you're hating the institution of marriage. And that's how it is very difficult for social scientists to go with the power of predictability. And I'm drawing the conclusion by saying, when sociology shares key characteristics with the natural sciences such as empirical observation, systematic method, the development of testable theories, it also faces unique challenges due to the complexity, subjectivity, and reflexive nature of human behavior. These factors make achieving the precision and prediction and objectivity of the natural sciences more difficult in the social realm. Sociology, while committed to the evidence-based inquiry and the scientific study of society, operates within the different contexts. It deals with the fluid and context-dependent phenomena, making the discovery of universal law more elusive. Consequently, while sociology, sociology can be considered scientific in its approach, it should be recognized as distinct from the social sciences, incorporates both empirical rigor and interpretative understanding. So we can have both the context, like how we have government in the private institute in the PPT model. Somewhat that kind of conclusion you need to draw to come at a nexus. You can't clearly deny that no, we cannot be interpretative, and on the other hand you cannot be totally objective. So we have to come with the consensus. And ultimately, sociology's value lied not solely on its ability to mimic the methods of the natural sciences, but in capacity to explore and explain the richness of human experiences. What a great line. And social structure, contributing to both scientific knowledge and practical social solutions. So that was the whole topic. And I hope you understand this. If you have any question, you can comment down below. I'll try to answer it. I'm not a very regular person on YouTube, like whenever I get time. And also, I was busy with my field work. So I was in this other state and traveling for like a week. And hence, a lot of, a lot of people have commented that I'm not able to respond and why I'm not able to respond. So that was the reason. I hope you understand and try to empathize with me, because I have work life as well. I also teach, and I also taking YouTube little by little. So please share and subscribe to my channel and support to this channel to understand sociology. And yeah, if you have any question, you can comment down and I'll try to answer it faster as possible. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.